Whoa. Well, hello,
Hello, Brittany.
Miss
Nice to see you.
Unicorn over here.
Yep.
How,
I had a little beauty mishap, so this is what I look like now.
it's a good look for you. I
Thank
think
you.
that if I could choose to be a unicorn, I certainly would. So,
Yeah, it
yeah,
feels pretty good, but a
I'm
little
excited about this
warm.
next chapter for you.
It's a little
What?
warm under here,
Little warm?
but it's okay.
Yeah, well, it's getting to be winter anyway, so, I mean,
That's
maybe,
true.
maybe it's the new trend for the season.
So, what are we talking about today?
Well, guess what? We're going to talk about vampires.
I love vampires.
So before we get into vampires, how was your Friday the 13th?
Oh my God, I had a great Friday the 13th. I went
Oh
to a
yeah.
concert.
Oh, that was a
Um,
concert you went to. That's cool.
yeah,
And how was
yeah.
that?
Um, Yeah, it was Half Alive. It was, well, I mean, that was the name of the band, not
Okay,
the status of the concert. It was fully a live concert with the
great.
band Half Alive, or the musical
Okay.
artist rather. I don't know what he is. He's a person. He's really good. Good music. We danced. I created a term for
Nice.
a mosh pit of gay men. It's called a
That
gosh.
sounds. I like that. That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Gosh, gosh, gosh.
Yep. So there was one of those at the concert. That was pretty cool. It was like the least threatening mosh pit I've ever been in.
A gay mosh pit? That sounds amazing.
Yeah, a
Sounds
gosh.
way better. I was at Bad Religion on Thursday, and mosh pit
Oh,
was a little bit nuts. Not gonna lie. So
oh,
um, yeah, I think I would prefer
a
the
gosh.
gosh, the gosh, the gosh, which
Yeah,
is
the
what I went
gosh was really pleasant actually. There was a lot of
for.
this going on.
Yes,
It was really good. It was like
ooh,
really flowy, kind of hippie.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you had a good Friday the 13th.
What about you?
I'm
You didn't
super
get
excited
murdered,
for
it
it.
looks like, which is good because that's when people
Well,
get
you don't know
murdered
how
on
this.
Friday the 13th.
No, but I did. I went to a bar called the Crypt,
Oh,
which is not far from. I don't think we went there when you were in town, but I did get stuck behind a gay fight, which is kind of
oh,
like a gosh, actually. So I
oh,
mean, we're kind of
wow.
both on point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone was. I don't really know what happened, but I was there waiting for someone, and while I was waiting, I was outside and it was kind of cold. And there's this group of guys behind me, and they're just kind of talking, and it just like suddenly turned hostile. And I went like straight into freeze mode. I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, just what do I do with my hands? I don't know. And so I kind of
Nummy,
like
nummy.
I'm reading on my phone, and and I'm listening to this like terrorism happening behind me, and like I don't know, like it was bizarre, and it went on for way too long, but I did absolutely nothing about it. Yeah, so that was my Friday
Right.
the 13th.
You were just a
Yeah,
bystander. You just let it happen, play out.
yeah, who am I to get involved? That's
Right.
kind of my MO in general. So um I haven't seen a fight in a while, so it was interesting, I guess.
It's
But
always
yeah,
shocking.
so
You
that's
never
how.
know how you're going to react.
Yeah, I know. I mean, um, could have been more productive, I suppose, but it's fine. It's fine.
What, just
Everyone was
like throwing
fine.
your drink into someone's face?
I could have done that. I could have. Yeah. But instead, I just sat like Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, just like I don't know what to do. So that was my Friday the 13th.
Oh,
And they were
nice.
playing obviously Friday the 13th at the bar, which is why I went, because it's a horror themed bar.
That makes
So
sense.
yeah. So spooky season is starting off strong. We're doing good.
Yes.
Yep, that's good. But yeah, so I chose vampires because I just finished reading Dracula, which is embarrassing that it took me this long, 35 years to read Dracula when I've, been kind of obsessed with vampires since Anne Rice and like, seventh grade. That's when I was reading it.
Wow, and you didn't, and so you're talking Bram Stoker's, right?
Yep, yep, Bram Stoker. Very good. If you haven't read it,
Okay.
it's really good. Yeah, I think maybe like I was imagining it to be like 1800s type language, and
Yeah,
sometimes you're just like, "Ah, I just don't have the patience to deal with big words." So
right. Yeah, or
that's what we
like
do
three
all day
pages
long.
describing like a carriage ride that took
Exactly.
4 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, but it's not. It's like a series of like journal entries from the various characters. It's pretty like it's decent.
Oh, okay.
It almost got ruined for me because I was told that it was like um, really about like East Europeans immigrating to Ireland and England, and that
Mm,
like the racism behind that. Um, I don't I don't think I'm just not buying it. I'm gonna like
mm,
paint my own picture of what I would like Dracula to be about, and it's just not gonna be about racism. Just not. So,
okay.
you know,
I'm into that.
yeah.
No
So
racism.
we're no racism. We're anti. Yeah. So anyway, so I just finished it. I bought um Dracula and Frankenstein from this really cool bookstore, and they've got these like cartoon. I actually don't have it in front of me, but they're really cool cartoon covers to them.
Oh,
That's just like super cool artwork that I really like. So I'm trying to read Dracula, well, and Frankenstein before Halloween was my goal. I have not
nice.
started Frankenstein, so it's kind of a lofty goal at this point. But we still got what, like, I don't know, 11 days,
Yeah,
something
you've
like
got
that.
some time. Actually, wait,
We got
no,
some.
I think you've got 16 days until Halloween.
I don't do math. Let's draw
No,
math.
that's okay. Only reason why I do that is not because I mathed. I also do not math. It's
No,
because I went into Party City today and they had a convenient little countdown thing for me, and I was like, oh man, I hope my wig gets here in time.
yeah, true. I know. I hope mine does too. I'm
Also, I'm
excited about
super
ours.
concerned that it's going to end up red and not like magenta pink. And so I don't know, we might need to do some twerking? No,
So
tweaking.
we will do some
Tweaking,
twerk.
not
I
twerking.
will twerk that.
We could twerk it out later. I don't
We
know.
will twerk it
Whatever.
out.
Anyways, enough
Sure.
about wigs.
Enough about twerking. So,
Okay,
yeah. So
you're
vampires. Yeah.
inspired by your Dracula, and
Yes.
you've got some vampires to like presentations to give me.
Yes. And I didn't do a PowerPoint for this one, but I'll just kind of run you through what I went through. So, like, when I was, because you can go into a lot with vampires. Like, there's like just a huge history behind vampires. Like, I mean, there's so much,
Oh
and it's like
yeah.
almost overwhelming the amount of like information about vampires. Like, Bram Stoker was certainly like not the first person to like come up with the idea. It was like an Albanian folklore type of deal before that. That's where he really drew his like inspiration from.
Hmm.
But even before that, like I like was reading some stuff about like Egypt, and like there's some goddess I think who like she went in and like was like, what did they call her, like the blood countess, which I thought was
Ooh.
like, that's super spooky and I like it.
Yeah, that
I
is
can't remember what
spooky.
her actual name is. What's that?
That's super spooky.
Yeah, yeah, the Blood Countess. And there actually was another Blood Countess in the Middle Ages, and she was like a serial killer, and she would like drink the blood of her killed people, kills, I guess. So yeah. So there's been a
Victims.
few blood countesses along the way. But no, like what I was really curious about, because there are actual people who like identify as vampires.
You can
And
identify as a vampire.
yes,
Well, I
yes.
guess
And
I'm
I mean,
identifying as a unicorn right now, so I can't be that like judgy.
that's exactly right. Yeah, yeah. So don't judge.
I'm
These
not,
people,
I
you
promise.
know,
Who am I but a unicorn?
but unicorns and vampires and everything in between.
We can all
Yeah,
coexist together.
I think it's a happy ever after that we all wanted, right?
Yeah, with a lot of
So
blood and stuff.
yeah, yeah. Well, the vampires, most of the vampires, like the online ones at least, like because I think they really kind of took um, skyrocketed a bit, like since the internet, as everything does. So uh, yeah, they
Thank you, internet.
yes, we have online vampires. Yeah, but before we get there, you know, like again, I was curious about like real life vampires, and so there's a couple serial killers who were known as like the vampires of such and such place. You also have like Richard Ramirez, which I think like deserves its own like episode, so I'm not going to go into him.
Yeah, like is he like so much a vampire as he is like a Satan, you
Yeah, he's
know?
more. Yeah, yeah, but his teeth are kind of vampire-y. That's why I was
Oh
like, he's
yeah.
kind of a vampire. But no, he's that you're right. Like he didn't identify as a vampire. He didn't like do the vampire type things that like some of these other people were doing. So we'll start with the vampire of Dusseldorf, who was in the 1920s, and he was quite a character. So he, you know, as I think with all or most like serial killers slash like psychopaths, like had a terrible childhood, you know, had the whole killing of animals, wetting the bed. What's the third one again?
Third one is a strained relationship with, or unnatural relationship with their mother.
Is that what it is? It's not
Yeah,
setting
I
fire
think
to
so.
things. Okay,
I think
I
it
know it's
was,
like the McDonald's. I think it's called like the McDonald triad or something like that.
yeah, it's something like that. I thought it was bedwetting, animal torture, and then weird relationship with mother.
Okay, yeah. I
But I
mean,
don't know.
you'd think that I would know that too, but because for some reason I thought it had to do with like arson. But I don't. I think
Hang on, I'm
maybe.
gonna look this up. What do we think it's
All right,
called?
look it up. I think it's called the McDonald triad or the McDonald something
That's
like that.
where you get really good chicken nuggies.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Okay, so
I mean,
McDonald's murder triad.
yeah.
Murder Hulu? No, McDonald's
I think like
triad.
serial killer. That's it. Might be something like that. Um,
Oh, you were right. It was
what is?
fire setting.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So yeah. So he
Yeah,
had
it
all three
was
of those.
animal cruelty, fire setting, and bedwetting.
Wow. Yeah. I think it's like it's pretty much debunked at this point, but it's still, red
Yeah,
flags. Red flags. It's the first three things you should ask on your first date.
yeah,
Did you
no
used to
kidding.
get the bed? Do you like to set things on fire?
And you skin cats in your free time.
Yes. Any one of those I think is enough of a red flag that you should probably not go forward with it.
You,
But
yeah,
you have
probably
all
should
three.
not do date two. No date two.
Yeah, yeah. You get all three, and you might want to contact authorities. That's what I think. So.
He's like literally doing all three while he's talking to you. He's lighting you on
Skinning the
fire
cat,
while
man,
torturing a
and
cat
setting it on fire.
and peeing like on a bed. You're like, oh my god, this guy. I think
Oh
I'm in
no!
love actually. I don't know if these are red flags or if I'm in love. This takes
I
a
think
lot of
yeah,
bravery.
true. I mean, there have probably been worse flags that I've dated before. So, worse red flags, I
Nope.
guess. Anyway,
Same.
yeah,
Same.
but that's a whole other story. So Dusseldorf guy. So Dusseldorf, so he has a bad childhood. I think his dad like goes to prison for raping his sister
E.
at some point. Yeah, so real bad. And I think he got like a sentence of like 18 months. Like it was something ridiculous. It's Germany in like the 1920s, but like seriously, just insane.
Although
So
they kind of had like more important murders to probably worry about at the time. Like they were ramping up into some serious murder
true.
if you think about it.
This is right pre,
They were like rape,
Holocaust.
but how many people have you genocided today?
Yeah.
And they were
I
like,
mean
well,
that is the
0. And they're
question.
like, 18 months.
Not so bad. Not so bad.
Not so
Child rape,
bad.
not bad. Yeah.
I'm German,
Yeah,
so
you're
I'm
not like
allowed to
sending
make these
the gas.
jokes, by the way.
What's that?
I'm both German and ethnically Jewish, so I'm allowed to make these jokes.
Well, I'll let you make them
Yeah.
because I am neither of those things, despite the fact that people say that my doppelganger is Sarah Silverman. So,
Maybe.
yeah.
I guess I see it.
Yeah, I mean, what I'll take that compliment any day. I think she's hilarious.
She is.
And she's hot. So,
Oh, yeah.
I'll take it. I will take it. All right. So Dusseldorf guy, so like a lot of these people who are like we'll get into like what it's called, but like who are the vampires, like the real vampires or whatever. There's a certain like sexual element to it of like they get off on killing people and like some of the stuff that goes along with that. I don't think he ever like called himself a vampire, and his thing was like he liked to hear like the gurgling of blood, and and
Ugh.
yeah, it was like real gross. Like I mean, I won't get too far into it, but he
And you couldn't like
would
recreate that somewhere else? Like, really? Like, go to
yeah
a babbling brook. I don't know.
something like that. But he was so bad that like he could not ejaculate. Like I was listening to this podcast and like they said the word ejaculate like 50 times, and I was just like, okay, this is ridiculous.
You're like, wait, what did he do? One more time?
Yeah, wait. Can we come up with
I
a
just
better
want to
word?
make sure. Did he eject or did he jack?
Yeah. But yeah, so he wouldn't be able to climax, I guess, unless like he had this like violent element to it, and he stabbed a bunch of people. Yeah, I mean, part of it is like he was so delusional that like when he was actually caught, like he admitted to a lot of his crimes, but he like was more remorseful about like cheating on his wife than he was of like killing the people. Like he was kind of like he just didn't like believe that he had actually killed them for somehow, but at the same time he like did, and he talked about like a lot of the his MOs in this. So I don't know, like he just was he was a character. He was a character for sure. So that
Oh,
was
wow.
1920s Germany guy. And then you're probably more familiar with the Vampire of Sacramento, who was relatively brief. So like California in the 1970s and 1980s was just a fucking shit show with like
Wild
serial
place.
killers.
Wild place.
Yeah, I would not have wanted to be there by any means. Like between the Golden State Killer, like it's just nuts. Like there were just way too many serial killers. I don't know
Yep.
what was in the water back then, but like, yeah, just terrible. So this guy, the Vampire of Sacramento, was like extremely mentally ill. Like it's almost it would be sad, but he's so like scary, insane that like it wasn't. So like he also had a really bad childhood, but like his parents knew that something was wrong with him, and they like tried to treat him, and then they like denied him some of his treatment, and so there's some speculation that like he probably could have been more better mitigated, but for his parents. But like I don't know. I don't know if I buy that either. But what he like believed that Nazis and aliens were making him do the things that he was doing. So like clearly delusional, clearly like extremely mentally ill. And
I
he
mean,
would
I don't know. That's that could
true.
be real. Let's not jump to conclusions because, as you know, the Nazis had some very interesting experiments,
This is
and
true.
I'm sure the aliens, yeah, no,
Aliens probably make us do more than we think we know at
oh
this
yeah,
point.
this totally
I
checks
mean,
out to me. I'm pretty sure the Nazis and the aliens are telling him what to do. Okay, so I buy it. Anyways, tell me more about this guy's really honest story.
yes, yeah, he's real. He's a stand-up guy, really. But he was actually, and he never called himself a vampire either. But he was very like obsessed with drinking blood, and there's one story. So when he was actually caught, like he killed 6 people, and he would shoot them, but then he would like mutilate their bodies and like do terrible things to them. And so he would go to people's houses and open the door, and if the door was locked, he would just move on, because he would
Oh,
say, well,
geez.
I wasn't invited into that house. But then like if the door was unlocked, he would go in and he would murder the people inside, mostly women, although I think he killed a couple guys too. um,
Terrifying.
but yeah, so um, the crime scene that was like described on like his most horrible crime. I can't even say it out loud. Like it's so bad. But one of the things that he did was he drained his victim of all of her blood, and then like left like a cup that was just that he had drank. It was a yogurt cup, with her blood in it that he had been drinking from. And when they found him finally, they went to his house, and they expected to find more in the house, but the creepiest thing was that his walls were like drenched in blood. Like, so
Ah,
I don't know what he was doing with the blood, but like I mean, yeah, it just was gross. Like, there's another like time when he was sunbathing. This is another like just creepy aside note. He was sunbathing and covered himself in cow's blood. And so like when someone came and like saw him, they obviously called the cops. And like he said that the blood was seeping from himself. Like he had this like whole thing that like he believed that his blood was turning to sand, and that's part of why he needed blood to ingest to make up for the fact that his blood was sand. So
that checks out. That
yep,
science checks out. I remember
yeah,
that Bill Nye episode.
yeah, I think it was the first one,
Yeah,
pilot episode.
blood, sand, replenished
Blood
with
turns
more
to sand, and then
blood.
you got to drink more blood. that's
Yeah,
that's just what you got to do. So
science.
science. Yeah, so both of our vampires, uh, they uh, they were executed. Uh, Dusseldorf guy was beheaded, and he had asked prior to his beheading if they thought that he would be able to hear the gurgling of his own blood, and like that was going to get him off, like I guess one last time,
Ugh.
in every sense of the word, I guess. But then our Richard Chase, the Vampire of Sacramento, he was actually set to be executed by gas chamber. Like, can you believe like that was a thing only in the 80s? And this is
What?
California, so like, I mean, it's never going to be humane, like state,
Yeah.
sanctioned executions, but like gas chamber, like in the
I mean,
1980s, it's
what incredibly dramatic ways to execute people. They're like,
right.
let's behead him because he loves the sound of gurgles. So let's
Yeah,
just give him some gurgling beheadedness. And then this
right.
guy, he thinks the Nazis are telling him what to do. So wouldn't it be like an ultimate irony to have him go in the gas chamber? Like, how dramatic. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. We're trying to like come up with poetic deaths, poetic state sanctioned deaths. Like
Right?
we got to do better. That's all I
Do
can
better,
say.
America.
Yeah. Well, isn't it what state is it that like a death by firing squad is still technically legal?
Isn't it Utah? I feel like it's Utah.
Oh, that would make sense.
I
Yeah.
don't know why, but I feel like it's Utah.
I'm
Um,
just gonna say it is. I don't think we need
yeah,
to confirm or deny
because
it.
I
Like
think I
it just
looked that up kind of recently and I was shocked by the answer. I was like, what? Why? You can't even
yeah,
buy
because
alcohol there. Like, I feel like that was my first thought.
yeah, true. But they're also crazy. So
Yeah,
you know,
correct.
yeah, Mormons. We'll probably go into Mormons at some point because I'm also obsessed with Mormons. But
Oh, yeah,
for now, getting back on track with our vampires, like
right.
like
Vampires, not Mormons.
one thing at a time. Um, yeah, so both of them. So he was set to be killed by gas chamber, but before he was executed, he stocked up on his prescriptions and just overdosed. So he killed himself before going to the gas chamber, which probably was a better move anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't want to go by gas chamber.
No, mm-mm. Yeah. Well, it saves some tax money, which is fiscally responsible of him, really.
That was
So
nice. Yeah, very thoughtful.
yeah, I'm sure that's what he
That
was
was one of
thinking.
the more thoughtful suicides. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. My hat's off to you.
As a
Um,
taxpayer. Thank
as a
you.
taxpayer, that's right. Yeah. So those are like the two serial killers that were like technically vampires of more recent times. Like it's I guess like if there's going to be serial killers, there's obviously going to be the ones who go into like enjoying blood, I guess. So those are kind of like the darker ones. There's there's a movie. So uh, out of like outside of the serial killer context, there is actually like a so-called disorder called Renfield syndrome, and it's actually based on R.M. Renfield, who was the like mentally ill. What would you call him?
Well, he
Like
was like the minion guy, right?
yes, for Dracula. Yeah, I was trying
Yeah.
to think of. I was gonna call him a familiar. I guess it would be a familiar.
He's kind
I
of
don't
a familiar.
So the familiar Dracula's familiar was Renfield, and Renfield like started by like eating flies and then would like drip like and then spiders and then rats, I think, something like that. But anyway,
Hmm.
but yeah, so it actually started as a joke and like as satire against like psychiatry and psychology's like need to like create syndromes for everything. So the guy who actually coined the term was like didn't actually advocate that it was an actual disorder, and like it's not in the DSM. It's like it's not an actual disorder, but it is something that people claim to have. Like it's either called Renfield syndrome or clinical vampirism. So,
Whoa.
um, which is maybe preferable to my clinical depression. Like
Yeah.
I would rather have clinical vampirism than that, but that's fine. But one other thing that I ran across when I was like looking things up, and this is just like, I think this is just on some website like where there's a lot of gatekeeping in vampirism, like online vampirism, which I'm about to go into. So one of them was going into what the mental disorders people have that they claim to be vampirism, and it's actually clinical psychotic depression. was like the one that I had come across that I was like, that I haven't heard of that, but I guess, you can
Yeah.
be psychotic anything. So
Yeah.
I just don't know what makes it psychotic depression.
Yeah. That
I don't know.
doesn't, how do those even vibe
Maybe
together?
it's what?
I don't even understand how those like vibe together.
No,
Like because
they're like
aren't people with psychosis generally narcissists or have inflated self-egos and therefore can't be depressed because they're so into themselves?
I don't know about that. Like that would be something that I think, I would need to do more research on. I was just thinking
Yeah,
of it as like usually like psychotic means like that you're seeing or experiencing something that's
there's
not
some
real,
sort
right?
of hallucination going on.
Right. So what are you seeing that's associated with depression? Are you just seeing like your demons actually in actual form?
Or like a really
Like maybe
sad cloud just hanging over you all the time. Like
yeah,
that
that's not
Zoloft
actually there.
commercial.
Yeah. Yeah, your life is that sounds sad. That does not sound but anyway, so so yeah, so Renfield syndrome is basically where people are typically, again, it's like it's typically a sexual thing, but like it doesn't have to be. But you're
Mm,
like obsessed with drinking blood. And you can be an auto vampire, meaning like you drink your own blood. Or you could, feel that you have to drink other people's blood. And so it's a syndrome, sort of. It's a pseudo syndrome, um,
yeah,
but not real.
right.
So yeah, so so that takes us to from serial killers to mental health issues, and like diving into what was like I think my favorite part of like looking into this was the online vampire community. So you've seen What We Do in the Shadows, right?
Oh, yes. Love that show.
It's amazing. But one of the vampires, obviously, like Colin Robinson, is an emotional vampire.
Yeah.
So I did like a little like side trip into like looking into what an emotional vampire like actually is, because like we know it as like people who are draining of like your emotional energy, and like not an actual thing, but
Right.
in like I was gonna call it psychosis, but it kind of is like in like the psychic um, world, I guess. Like people like claim to actually be like psychic vampires, where they're actually taking like your energy and like and they feed off of it. And
Okay.
it's like more mystical, magical than like people like um, draining on you at work,
Right.
or whatever it is.
Engaging you in horribly boring conversation.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So there are people who claim to be psychic vampires, and it's so like I said, there's a lot of gatekeeping to this online world of vampires. So like there's a lot of different websites that are like competing against each other and saying like, oh yeah, like you're not a real vampire because you don't do this, that, or the other, or like people love to say like that other people are not the real vampire, they're the real vampire, which is it's just funny in itself to me. But then so I looked at some of these websites. There's one, I don't remember what this one was called, but like it's basically a game. Like it's kind of set up like Harry Potter. And so you have like your seven houses, your seven vampire houses, and you become like you're a member. And like I think these people actually like I think they're genuine. I think they really do think that they are vampires.
Hmm.
But the way that you become like a better vampire is through like using this website more. So it's just kind of like it's just very silly. Like it's a like
Sounds a little
you
like Scientology for vampires.
yeah. It's a pyramid scheme of a vampirism, I guess. Um, so yeah, so they like you have different levels that you get to. You start out as a level one, and you can only do like a certain number of like interactions with that website, but you have to keep doing it, and you have to keep building your profile. Like it's vampire Facebook basically is what it is.
Who knew?
You know, more power to them. But yeah, so there's that one, and that one I just found silly and fun because like the different levels like have different names to them, and then you get to level. You're supposed to get to level 100, and up until you get to level 100, you can be kicked out of your house or your coven or whatever that you're in. And then get traded off to some other one or become like a free agent. So it's like it's also vampire fantasy football
Oh
all in
my
one.
God, it combines like all my favorite things.
Yeah. So maybe we should join. I don't know. I
Statistics,
kind of thought about it.
rankings. Dang.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do I
It's
join? I want to be a vampire now.
I'll send you the link. I think we should just be vampires. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
But my favorite thing that I came across that I was really hoping that I was going to be able to find people who identified as this, but I couldn't find it. And you know, if I find it later, I'll send an update. But like, there are also online vampire slayers.
Oh
So
God.
yes, so they
No.
go into these. They're Christian based. I think is this is how it was
Of
like
course.
explained. Yeah, yeah, because you can't have
You
nice
can't have
things.
vampires
You
and
can't just
Jesus
go
in the
off and
same
be
room
gay.
together. That just doesn't work.
No, no, it doesn't. Yeah. So they go into these vampire websites and they target the members and then they send a bunch of hate mail to them.
And
So yeah.
like these
So
are presumably like adults, right?
I don't know.
They
I think so, but you know,
have
I would
like day jobs. They're like accountants and then they come home and slay some internet vampires.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's their you know, moonlighting job is to slay some vampires. They need
Van
more like
Helsing.
vampire slayers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank God for them. You know, we would be
Wow.
having vampires here, there, and everywhere. But no, they go
Everywhere,
in and
all over
they
the
try
internet, just roaming,
to just roaming,
wild,
just everywhere. Yeah, just
sucking
across
the
your screen.
blood from my computer files. I don't know.
Woo, spooky.
Whoa.
Yeah. So yeah. If I find vampire slayers online, I will definitely do like an entire thing on that because I just want to know like what their hate mail. I want to know what it says. Like, dear vampire, you suck, but not in
You
a good way.
suck. Yeah, but you don't suck blood. Wait, you do suck blood,
Yeah,
but you
but
also suck my balls.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. So I need to see some of those emails. I need to see what they're actually saying.
Wow.
But I didn't get there. So yeah, um, so the other one that I found, and this one is like my absolute favorite. So do you want? You have this very unique opportunity right here and right now. Are you ready for it?
I've never been more ready in my life.
Perfect. So we are going to learn how to know if you're a real vampire. You ready?
Yes, I'm so ready.
Do you have unusually pale skin?
Yes.
Great. So you're already on your way there. Uh, if you eat medium rare or rare steak, do you notice that you get a little bit more pink afterwards?
Well, that's a great question. I've never noticed a change in my complexion. However, I do prefer my steak still mooing.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too. So I think we're already on our way to becoming vampires.
Yes.
Are you extremely energetic at night, but around the time the sun comes up, become extremely tired?
Yes.
Well, it's vampire.
Vampire.
Do you do you rarely get sick, or when you get sick, does your body recover quicker than most people?
I'm gonna say I actually no. I get sick a lot, and I'm
Oh,
very sickly all the time.
not a vampire.
Oh man.
Is your bedroom the coldest and darkest in the house?
Definitely the coldest.
All right. Well, maybe that makes up for it. I don't know. There's not really. It doesn't say like you have to have all of them or a majority of them.
Yeah, right?
Um,
Like there's no point system or something, like a 1 out of 5.
yeah, there. It doesn't say. It just I don't know how many you need to have, but there's like 100 of these. I'm not going
Oh,
through all of them.
dang.
I'm just going through. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. How about, do you always feel a strong urge to travel?
Yes. That's a
Vampire.
vampire trait?
I guess it's a vampire. Yeah. Uh, does sunlight slash bright lights in general hurt your eyes and head?
Um, okay. No, because I have seasonal affective disorder and I literally have to sit in front of one of those lamps on cloudy days because I need the sunshine. But I'm still this
Yeah.
complexion, so I don't know.
Well, I think we're at about like 50-50, so maybe you're like half
I'm
vampire.
half vampire, yeah.
I think so. Uh, do electrical appliances generally tend to hate you?
Yes! Is that a vampire thing?
Vampire. I
That's a
guess so.
vampire thing. Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah, these are good. Oh, you know what? I lied. There's only like 38 of them, but I
Oh,
was just like surprised at how many there were.
there's a lot of signs of being a vampire.
Yeah, there are there, and a lot of them that I didn't even think about.
Again, like the
Um,
electrical appliances and stuff, did not know that was a vampire thing.
yeah, apparently it is. Oh, at the end it does say that having only half of the traits does not make you a half vampire. I'm just gonna
Oh,
pretend to
what?
read that. That's stupid.
That is stupid.
I don't like
What is
it.
that, BuzzFeed?
It's no, it's this guy's website, and he's the biggest gatekeeper to vampirism ever. He's like he hates on everybody else for not being a vampire because he's the only real vampire.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I was trying. There was one other one that I'm trying to remember though. I just laughed out loud. Oh, he does say that a legitimate vampire is able to safely digest more than 600% of the daily recommended amount of iron, which I think, and then it says always read the warnings on this website. Like, well, I don't know that I would ever, condone, 600% of the iron that you're already eating. It's probably not a good
Yeah,
idea.
that's really weird. Where did he come up with that number? Like, is that a like scientifically tested number? He was like, okay, I got a vampire here. Let's see how much iron they can hold.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't
clearly he
trust
is
it.
the real vampire, so
I'm a skeptic. I'm skeptical of his standards and science.
yeah, that's your opinion, man.
But also,
But
I
like,
might be a little jealous that I'm not a vampire or a half vampire.
yeah, well, I do wish that I was as cool of a vampire as this guy. Um, yeah, I can't find uh the other one. Do you tend to switch between very social and antisocial frequency? Oh, no,
Yeah.
there it is. I found it. The other one. So I think all of these, not all of them, but a lot of them, other than the sunshine one for me as well, because I also have seasonal affective. Um, but do
Sorry,
you
my
have an unusually high tolerance to alcohol and or other poisons slash toxins?
Here, if you want to smash the picture, if you
oh, sorry. I got a new shirt.
smash the picture, you're weird.
Do I? Hey, hey, I don't want to show my face because I got Chemical eye burn. This is my new shirt.
Oh, I love that.
Oh
It's
wait,
a great new shirt.
thanks. Okay, so anyways, what did you say before I was interrupted?
Okay, so do you go back to it? Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Do you have an unusually high tolerance to alcohol and other poisons slash toxins?
Hmm.
Vampire.
Hmm.
Yep.
Interesting.
Definitely other poisons and toxins, especially.
That's what I was
I have a
thinking. I
very
was like,
unusually high.
Drano for sure hasn't taken me
Oh
out
yeah, I
yet.
can drink bleach
I
like
can
nobody's
drink Drano
business.
for days.
Yeah. So that's vampirism in a nutshell. That's the online world of vampires, who are you know an interesting bunch to say the least. There's
Yeah,
I
no
mean
kidding. I
they
didn't
kind
know
of like
this world went so deep.
it sure does. I definitely could have gone a lot deeper into it, and like I mean, because they have their own vocabulary based on like myths and stuff like that. And but I didn't care to learn a whole new language again. I already learned Incel. I don't need to learn vampire at this point.
Yeah, no
Not yet.
kidding.
Not until we actually join and become vampires ourselves.
Right. I was gonna say until we need this language to like navigate the world of vampires. I actually have a funny vampire story to tell you, believe it or not.
Oh, let's hear it.
So I knew this lady that I met on the internet in the early 2000s when the
Oh,
internet was fresh and no one was a creep. Don't worry, the story's gonna get better. Anyways, um, she was like this young girl at the time. Though granted, this was like 15 to 20 years ago. I don't know. So like she was younger than I was, which is why I was trusting, and we started talking and she's like, I need to first of all, she told me that my dead cousin was visiting her and her baby brother, I think. And I was like, huh. And she like gave me all this information that no one would have known. And so I was like, holy crap. And then she's like, also the reason why I reached out to you is because I think you might be vampire royalty. And I was like,
oh,
what? Or like I can't remember if I was vampire. Yeah, and then my mom was like a high angel, like that mystical vampire stuff you were talking about. It was like
yeah.
kind of like that. And so I was like vampire royalty or something, and I was like, what?
You're
That's
vampire
weird.
royalty. Are you vampire queen? Vampire princess?
I did not ask how the hierarchy worked, and
Vampire
she said
president?
that it was likely passed down from my grandfather.
Hmm.
But there's some lichen in my bloodline as well, which is very strange. As you know, those two don't mix.
No. Wow.
Yeah, so I
Interesting.
don't know how she got any of this information, if she just read my aura or what, but I am vampire royalty. I have not received my certificate in the mail yet, but I'm
Not
pretty
yet.
sure it's real, and I feel like this guy made a bogus test who I'm vampire royalty. I know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So what
so
does he know
he doesn't know
about
anything.
this?
He hasn't welcomed me into his club.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that's because he's not a real vampire. You're the real vampire.
Exactly. He didn't
Yeah.
have a young girl from Wisconsin that he met on the internet tell him that he was vampire royalty.
Yeah. No. So he clearly is not.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's real.
So
I'm a
screw that guy.
vampire. My mom's an angel. I knew that. She said something
Well,
about my
yeah.
dad
Your
being
mom
an
is.
idiot. We all knew that too.
No. Yeah. That's true. I think this guy from this website, and the website is was vampirewebsite.net, so you know it's legit.
.net. Yeah.
.net, yes. So I
At
think it's actually a really
AOL.com.
old one, but his name is Steve. Steve the vampire.
Steve
I
the
don't I don't think
vampire.
I don't think you can be named Steve and be a vampire. So
I feel
clearly
like he
he's
should have at least
wrong.
strategically changed his name.
Yeah, to some I mean all these other ones they're coming up with like Ghost Raven is like their
Yeah,
name, and something
something
cool.
really
Come
cool.
on, yeah.
Yeah,
At least I don't know, Vlad or whatever. I don't know. Just come up with
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
something.
No.
Not
So
Steve.
not Steve. Steve the vampire.
Sheesh.
You know what I was thinking when I was doing this too is that obviously like Anne Rice are pretty erotic, like fiction, vampire fiction. Then there was like Twilight, romantic, gross fiction. But like I didn't get too far into whether there were any of like the deranged type of like romance novels that we were reading, where
Oh,
like there's like there's got to be orgy vampire shitty porn rags. I'm sure
yeah,
there is.
yeah, there has to
But
be.
yeah,
The
clearly.
other day I was at the library and I almost checked out the Prospector's Last Prospect. So if they
Oh,
have a prospecting romance novel, I'm pretty sure they probably have a vampire one.
oh, definitely. Yeah,
Like a
I think
really
we got to read that
smutty, gross
prospect
one.
one. Yeah. Well, once October's over, spooky season's over, we'll go back to prospector porn.
I almost called it Rent. It's been so long since I've had a library card. I don't know what it's called
Yeah,
when you check out books. It's called checking out. I know that
checking
now
out a
because
book.
I just said that out loud. But like whenever I'm trying to think of it, I'm like, lease? Do I lease the books? Do I rent
Technically,
them?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but maybe I will lease this book from the local library and I'll start reading it so that I have some really good passages picked out for after
Perfect,
spooky season.
perfect. I think we should do that. Yeah. Well, cool. I enjoyed talking to you about vampires.
I loved it.
It's it's near and dear to my heart. So, um,
Thank you.
blessed be.
I feel so close to you.
Yes. Well, I didn't realize that I was in the presence of royalty, so I really shouldn't be, you know,
It
bowing
still
down to you.
surprises me. I forget about it sometimes.
Well, you're just a humble vampire
I'm just
princess.
a
That's
humble, normal, vampiric human. That's why I'm just, it explains so much. I'm like, wow, I really can't get a tan.
yeah.
So I
Well,
must
now
be
and
vampire
you're now
royalty.
a unicorn vampire princess.
Yeah, yeah, I'm in hiding until these chemical burns go away.
Yeah.
So
Well, good luck with that. I'm sorry that happened. That's awful.
it's my
Sounds
dumb
painful.
fault.
Oh, you know what I found out too? I totally forgot about this. And my ADHD brain went here for some reason. I think because we were talking about vampire princesses. There is actually like a couple who like they do vampire weddings. So they're both like they both identify as vampires. So if you are looking for a vampire wedding, if you want to go down that path, I'm
Yeah,
sure we can look you
yeah,
up.
I would
Yeah.
love to see what that would entail.
Oh
Like
yeah. Yeah.
in terms of ceremony and what kind of
Well, I
DJ
mean,
do they have?
yeah, I'm sure it's just super gothic.
It's
Which
like a guy playing like an organ. I
yeah,
was like, what is
yeah,
this
like
thing?
the dripping candles is what I
Yeah.
picture. Like a lot of like deep reds and blacks and those kinds of things.
How lovely.
My 14-year-old heart would be like to the moon. I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah.
and maybe my 35-year-old one too. I don't know,
You're
but
like, I haven't changed at all, actually.
no, I'm pretty much the same person as I was when I was 14.
Which
I
is
never grew.
okay. It means you're not a flip-flopper.
Yeah, that's right. Never grow.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, vampires are concluded. I do have a PowerPoint presentation on werewolves. So maybe we'll do that one next. It's spooky
Yes.
season. Yep.
Yes.
hmm And there's a lot to go into there too. So
I
that one
believe
will be
it.
fun.
I
Oh
believe
yeah.
it.
Yeah. So
So if you said werewolves next week?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
If you want to pick a topic too, and
I'll do like a side quest.
great.
I don't know what
On
that
werewolves?
means, but yeah,
I
it
like
just
side
means
quests.
I'll do like some sort of werewolf side quest and it'll just be a story that we add in and I'll feel like I contributed.
Well, I love it.
Well,
I'm
because you
excited.
can't carry all the weight all the time. You're doing all this research and this like PowerPoint making and like you've got a full-time job and I'm just sitting here, vampire royalty in a unicorn mask, and
Well,
I can happily provide side quests.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. I feel like as royalty, you shouldn't be doing any work whatsoever. I mean, I'm just like the little serf beneath you, trying to scrape for some crumbs. So I got to do all the hard labor.
Oh
That is the
man, this is
greatest
gonna
thing.
change I never should have told you. This is gonna change our relationship.
I know. I don't. Do I address you as Your Highness now? Is that what I
Oh
do?
God, what have I
It's
done?
kind of hard to do with with the unicorn mask
I
on,
know,
but
right? I'm like, I prefer your royal highness.
Your Royal Highness. Okay, you got it.
Yeah,
Your Royal
your
Vampire.
royal highness. Yep.
All right, Your Royal Highness. Well, until next time.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.